get out of there!
You guys are the ones who caused all of this!
No, wait!
Oh, come on.
We've gotta be dreaming.
As a remake of a 20-year-old game, you might wonder what cool secrets are hidden in the trailer. What is new and what has changed? Well, quite a lot actually. So in addition to unearthing the usual secrets in this Rewind Theater, we'll also point out cool callbacks to the previous games and try to explain just what the heck went down in Raccoon City from the perspective of STARS member Jill Valentine, reprising her role as protagonist from the first game. Spoiler warning, we're going to talk about Resident Evil plot points if that wasn't clear. The first shot is a close-up of Raccoon City's streets now overrun with zombies and zombie dogs, which are the worst. A semi-audible voice in the background talks of a sinkhole in the city, which refers to a location visited in the Resident Evil 2 remake, but not in the original 1998 game. The aforementioned sinkhole is shown, silhouettes of Leon S. Kennedy and Ada Wong from Resident Evil 2 can be seen. But that's not the only time we see Leon. He can also be spotted later in this hallway outside of the STARS office. This shot of the main hall from the Raccoon City Police Department shows another environment we explored in Resident Evil 2. The RPD appeared in both the original Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, so it's great to see Capcom faithfully connecting their remakes as well. The next shot is another Resident Evil 2 location, but here you can catch a glimpse of Claire Redfield and Sherry Birkin walking over a suspended bridge. And then we see the orphanage from Resident Evil 2, again, a remake-only location, where Chief Brian Irons took Sherry Birkin to. These are the sewers beneath Raccoon City that Leon and Claire explored, and then a shot of William Birkin's underground laboratory known as Nest. Suddenly, the clock begins to rewind. It goes back all the way to 2 days before Resident Evil 2 took place, from September 29th through September 30th, 1998, which places us in September 28th before the beginning of Leon and Claire's merry little adventures in the RPD. Like the original game, Resident Evil 3 acts as both a prequel and a sequel to Resident Evil 2. Although this scene shows a first-person view of a woman running through a destroyed building, Resident Evil 3 is confirmed to be a third-person game, just like the Resident Evil 2 remake. Behind the door is the shadow of a large towering figure. It resembles Mr. X, the tyrant from Resident Evil 2, of which multiples exist. In the following scene, the silhouette indeed indicates that this is a tyrant that the woman is up against. The woman stumbles to the ground and desperately crawls away. We soon discover that this is in fact Jill Valentine. This sequence is a reimagined callback to the very beginning of the original 1999 Resident Evil 3, Nemesis, which starts when Jill busts out of a burning apartment building onto the sidewalk. We never saw exactly what she was running from in the original. Jill is probably a lot less stinky this time, as she no longer jumps out of a second-story window onto a garbage dumpster as in the original. The man with the Russian accent is Mikhail Victor, a UBCS, that's Umbrella Biohazard Countermeasure Service, soldier from the original Resident Evil 3. So far, his presence in the subway car and his apparent injury, plus the Russian origin and membership in the UBCS, indicate that Mikhail should at least play a similar role in the remake. Here, Jill approaches another member of the UBCS, who tells Jill he is not infected with the T-virus. This scene and dialogue were not featured in the original Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, but the beanie the soldier is wearing indicates that Jill is talking to Murphy Seeker, a minor NPC who died in the original after, you guessed it, succumbing to the T-virus and nearly becoming a zombie. We see Jill and another familiar STARS member, Brad Vickers, pilot for the team. Brad appeared in the first Resident Evil, both the original and remake of Resident Evil 2, as well as Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. In the footage of Resident Evil 2, we only saw a photo of Brad on a poster in the second scenario. Brad is wearing his familiar yellow STARS vest and makes a lewd comment about the remaining STARS members in town, which would be himself and Jill. Jill speaks to another UBCS member, Nikolai Zinoviev, and this dialogue is a new take on a scene from the original Resident Evil 3 Nemesis in which Nikolai questions the wisdom of having Jill help out his team. Another UBCS officer is shown. It's probably Tyrell Patrick, who made a very brief appearance in the original Resident Evil 3 Nemesis during Carlos's short campaign. The shot quickly transitions to a room that could be the RPD courtyard seen in Resident Evil 2. Finally, one of the UBCS members is shown who appears to be Carlos Oliveira. His hairstyle and face are quite different from the original Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, but that is definitely him. He's now looking for the STARS office located inside the RPD. Leon and Claire explored this in Resident Evil 2. In the original Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, Carlos is never seen visiting the office, although he does try to make contact to it over the radio in that game. The scene with Jill in what seems to be her apartment is interesting because of her dialogue. "It gets worse every night," she says. Jill seems to imply that she'll be confronting the outbreak across a longer span of time than the original. Next, we see recorded footage shown of a man. They don't want the world to know what they've done. This character may be a reimagined Dario Rosso, whom Jill meets briefly at the start of the original Resident Evil 3 nemesis. In the original, Dario is distraught that he has lost his daughter to the outbreak and is later killed by zombies off-screen. Given the heavily changed role Robert Kendo had in the remake of Resident Evil 2, it appears Dario will have a similarly upgraded presence in Resident Evil 3. Finally, something resembling gameplay footage is shown, revealing the over-the-shoulder third-person viewpoint. We have more gameplay footage and developer commentary on IGN that you can check out right now, or at least when this video is done. Next up, a very quick and dark shot of an amphibian creature is shown. These are likely the infamous hunters that have appeared in several games throughout Resident Evil history. Jill is looking at her reflection in a bathroom mirror. "We've gotta be dreaming," she says. No scene of this kind transpired in the original Resident Evil 3 nemesis. In fact, thematically, it feels more like Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, which explored hallucinations and other supernatural elements not seen elsewhere in the series. As Jill touches her face, she sees herself morphing into a zombie and back to human constantly. In the original Resident Evil 3 nemesis, Jill is infected with the T-virus, although her infection is only explored briefly in the game. This plot point plays a huge role in Resident Evil 5. The hospital shown here, complete with the Umbrella logo, is Raccoon General Hospital, which Carlos explored in the original in order to find a cure for Jill's infection. It looks to be larger and more expansive than the small portions seen in the original Resident Evil 3 nemesis. The hospital was also featured in Resident Evil Outbreak, although the design looks quite different in the remake of Resident Evil 3. In the split-second shots of an Umbrella helicopter, a virus under a microscope, and an ominous cartridge for bioweapon case are shown. The case also says codename Nemesis. This sets up the final shot of the trailer, the single eye opening of the Nemesis. Yikes! Resident Evil 3 will be released on April 3rd, 2020, so we'll be sure to hear more about it in the coming months. For more on Resident Evil 3, check out this first gameplay footage along with some developer commentary, or check out this comparison to the classic PlayStation game.